Are you looking for a great chicken, the perfect chicken for your homestead or your off-grid property? Well, we found one that we certainly like, and we'd sure like to share that with you, so please stay tuned here on Prepper Life. When we first purchased some chickens, we bought some Rhode Island Reds. They were all hens, just little chicks. We raised them. They were great. They produced eggs and served our purpose well. But the problem is with predators and things that we would start losing them. We would have to replenish that stock, by buying more little chicks and integrating them into the flock. A lot of things you had to deal with keeping them separated until they were big enough, and then trying to integrate them in, and the fighting and pecking order establishments, and to go on, that kind of thing. Also, it got me thinking about if we were to be in a grid down situation where we could not run down to the local feed store and get some chicks, that maybe we would need to have some chickens that would replenish themselves and just be self-sustaining. So with that said, we did a little research and came up with the Icelandic Chicken. They're a good hardy breed. They are very disease resistant. The hens make great mothers, and they get broody pretty fast. Our first hen got broody at this fall at 8 months, and was just an excellent mother. I believe because this chicken is called an Icelandic chicken that it gets stereotyped that it is a cold weather climate chicken only. But this summer we had, temperatures up, 105 with fairly high humidity, and these chickens did great. Some other things to think about with these chickens are their survival skills. They're very aware of dangers around them. They keep an eye on the sky. They have great flight. I actually was thinking was going to keep them pinned up, and I clipped their wings, one wing, and you couldn't even tell. They're such strong flyers. It did make a difference, and so we just gave in and decided to let them free graze because they're going to anyway. And they do, they forage. You can feed them, but and this is kind of one of the things that if you can't run down to the local feed store and get chicken feed or scratch, these chickens, they forage, and they feed on organic matter, and I think they would do fine without it. I mean, they're not going to refuse feed. I mean, if you're going to feed them, they're going to eat. But they are a really great chicken for grazing. And to allow them to do that, you do need quite a bit of space. Our chickens are grazing on probably about 3 acres. We have more than that, but a lot of it gets wooded, and I think they're not comfortable going into the woods, but they're actively grazing about 3, maybe 4 acres. Also, something very important to talk about if you're going to have a great all-around chicken that needs to check all the boxes for a great grid down chicken is production. When it comes to eggs, these are great producers. I've seen where they say they lay about 160 eggs or so a year. Mine are doing, of course they're young, but mine are doing that plus some. So they're doing great there. And here it's late January, and they've been producing probably around 80% a day. Right now we just have 4 hens. We're going to expand that, but we just have the 4, and we're getting 3 a day almost every day. We never get 4, but we rarely get 2 or less. And I think in winter that's just incredible. So that's something to think about. As far as the size of these chickens, their average weight will be between 2 and 2.5 pounds for the hens, and 3 and 3.5 pounds for the roosters, which isn't real big. But also, if you're going to process these chickens, and you are in a situation where you may not have power or something like that, and you don't have refrigeration, they would make the perfect meal. So that's just another great point about them. All right, I talked about all the pros, and now let's talk about a few cons. They are considered a threatened species, so you need to be thinking about that. It's good to try to preserve the breed, and so we had to make a hard decision to give some of our older hens that we had and a rooster to some friends, and that way we could isolate these chickens away from many other breeds and help make sure that we keep our chickens pure. So we did that, and we're pretty glad that we did. Another thing is they're talkers. If you have neighbors fairly close, they're talking during the day. It's not like they're talking at night, but they can squawk, as you can hear that right now. I'm playing that. Another issue is they can tend to roost a little bit. Ours have been doing a pretty good job of staying in the coop at night, but sometimes I walk out there to shut the door, and they are up in the tree there by the chicken coop. And we have two roosters, and more often than not, what would I say? He's not our dominant rooster. He will be up in the tree instead of down in the coop. So that can be an issue. I think if you keep them in a coop, they feel secure in that. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Well, that's all I have for this video. If you have any questions, please send comments, and I will try to respond to those as best I can. Please give me a little grace. I'm not claiming to be a poultry expert. I've been just learning by trial and error. So please understand that if I said something that wasn't quite accurate or you don't agree with, please give me some grace. Thank you for watching Prepper Life. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit the like, follow, and subscribe button. Watch for more preparedness tips and product reviews that might be helpful for your readiness plan.